Okay guys, it is a couple days after the last post of me working on this E46, and I've done a little bit of tinkering around off camera, so I'll kind of update and show you guys what I've done. I've been leaving the doors open on this car every second I can while I'm here because it still smells terrible in there, but that's going to be a later thing. As far as the BBS wheels go, I have every bolt and nut back in them. If you watched my previous video, you may remember that this wheel only had 4 bolts holding it in very loosely, and then the other wheel was taken completely apart. But the seller actually gave me every bolt and every nut for these wheels, so that was really cool. I was very surprised on that, but literally every single one of them was in a bag for me to put it back together. Yeah, so now all 4 matching wheels with every bolt. Definitely need to do a lot of cleaning. I'm saving all the cleaning until last on this car because I really want to know if I'll be able to fix it and resell, because that is the main point of this car, was to buy and resell. And you know, when I went to pick up this car, I didn't even get to turn the engine over or anything like that, but I now know that the engine at least will start. But today I want to see if the transmission will at least go into drive and reverse and move under its own power. So that is what I'm going to work on today. I picked up some cheap engine oil, some power steering fluid, and I ordered this off of Amazon. And this is just an aftermarket power steering reservoir. Looks just like factory. Digging through all the many junk parts that this car had stored inside of it, all that in the trash can, that there, those spare headlights, all this garbage, I kind of organized. Everything that's not broken I put in this pile. All the headlights and mirrors and whatnot I put over there, and then this is all garbage that I do not want. But I noticed I did not have a power steering reservoir. All the ones that I seen were broken. This may have been the only one actually, but there's a little hole right there. So I think my plan for today is just to install that new power steering reservoir, and then just starting the car for a little while without any of the coolant hooked up in the radiator and all that, just to see if it'll go into drive and reverse. Speaking of the radiator though, I do have some progress on that. You might remember that I had a spare radiator out of my other E46 sitting over there in the corner. However, that car is a manual and this one is an automatic. I did find out that you can convert the manual radiator to a automatic radiator, but basically the difference in the automatic and manual is this piece here. It is a tad bit broken as far as the bracket goes, but other than that, I think it should work. So this one is for the automatic. I don't know what I did with my manual one, but basically the manual shroud, whatever you mount, bracket, whatever you call this thing, doesn't have any of these channels right here. It is just blank, and then this hole down here is plugged. However, with the automatic, it requires a transmission oil cooler to mount here and get coolant from the radiator flowing through it. By connecting this into there, the coolant will flow out of there into here, and the transmission oil cooler will be able to get coolant. Then you have your expansion tank mounted above here, and put it all in the car, and we should be good to go with this. I did have to drill this out because it was completely blocked, so I just opened it up and we are now able to slide this piece into there, and everything mounts up as it should. It is a little broken. I believe that tab there on my old radiator is broken, but other than that, I think it should all work. So after I got the radiator all sorted and now believe that it will work on this car, I just started looking around to see what else I was missing, and I really, so far, don't know of anything else missing besides just a simple O-ring inside this lower radiator hose here. If I can see if the transmission works today, which I'm pretty sure it should, that will be a huge win for this car. But having only $800 in the car with a working motor, a working transmission, a clean title, 108,000 original miles, decent interior, even though it is tan and the car is gold. Do have the fender. Oh, and we can't forget about our factory BMW BBSs with very minimum damage. I don't think any of them have curb rash, just need a good cleaning. Yeah, so if the transmission works on this car, that is a huge, huge, huge win for me. After I get the car working and buttoned up, then we'll work on really dialing it in to see how clean we can get it again. Without spending too much money on the car, because again, I did buy this car to try to make money. I don't really have any use for any of this. But anyway, I'm gonna quit rambling and I'm going to hook up this power steering reservoir and then we'll fit the lines in, top off the fluid, and I'm gonna start the car and try to shift it into drive in reverse. So let's get to it. This is only gonna take a second. Looks good to me. One. And two. We even still have the clamps for both. Put that bad boy in there. That looks more factory, I would think. I don't really remember where this goes. I think it goes somewhere like this. I don't know. But for now, it's not that big of a deal. I'm just gonna get it out of the way of the pulleys and everything. Just to start it over, just to turn it over and start it. I may like zip it to right here for now. I'm not gonna drive this car down the road or anything. I just wanna see if it'll move forward in reverse. So let me grab a flathead. I need to find a bolt for this too. For now, zip tie. Just to hold that in place. There we go. Get these hoses out of the way. I'm actually kind of surprised at how much is here with this car after, you know, seeing it in person. Thrown in somebody's yard, taken apart. It seems like mostly everything is here. I mean, I found like one broken sensor, or probably a marker light connector, and then the O-ring on the lower radiator hose. Other than that, it seems like everything is here, minus the radiator that I had, and a bumper and a hood. And then of course a lot of the bolts that hold the plastic together, and you know, things like that, but can't really complain too much. I'm gonna snug this air box up a little bit. This air box is actually from my other car as well. This car did come with an air box and looked like an old used filter, but this is a brand new filter in here with a brand new mass airflow sensor inside, so I just threw it on here for now, why not? Okay guys, I think I'm ready to start the car. I know it does have oil in it. It might not be the cleanest, but it does have oil. If all this goes well, I will change the engine oil after this. Just gonna hook the battery back up. We have power. See if it'll start. Alright, you guys ready? Throw her in park. We have power. I forgot to top off the power steering fluid. Let me do that real quick. You know, I wonder if I should actually just find something to run the hose into and see if we can just flush all of the old power steering fluid out first. Trying to get a little ahead of myself. I'm just gonna take the small hose back off because that's the one that was... I'm just gonna take the small hose back off and put it really low, and I'm gonna find something to catch all that nasty power steering fluid. I had a little bitty bit of this in the trunk of the car from the previous owner, so at least I know what kind he was running in the transmission, and hopefully the transmission has fluid in it. I'm not gonna get this transmission too hot, and then we will check that later. Okay, now let's see if it'll start. Well, we idled. I don't think we actually had any more power steering fluid in there. Like a tiny, tiny bit. When I just walked behind the car to get these new gloves, it smells like very, very old gas back there. Does not smell good. It did idle for a good bit though. It took a little minute to start up, but that's a win. I didn't run it that long the other day. I only ran it for maybe 5 seconds because I was seeing it was squirting power steering fluid and shut it off. Alright, I got the hose back on. Now I'm gonna add some new power steering fluid. Make sure there's no leaks. Alright, now I'm gonna start it back up. I'm gonna start it back up and let it idle for a little bit longer and then see how much fluid we lose out of the reservoir there. Now before it gets too warm, I'm going to go ahead and just move it a couple of feet forward and back. Let's see. Reverse, I felt it. Move the hair. Drive. Alright. Ooh, it doesn't smell good now. Reverse. Drive. It just sort of smells like all the oldness burning off of it. Alright guys, I think that's a big win for now. I'm not going to run it too long because I don't have any of the coolant hooked up. I really now want to see if it'll shift through all the gears. But it felt really smooth just then. Engaged fine. That's awesome. That makes me feel a whole lot better. I mean, I'm already to the point now where I feel like this was a good investment, just a little bit of time and effort to put into it. But adding the transmission working onto that list is huge for me. That is great. Now I feel like all I need to do is clean it up. Put it all back together, clean it up, make sure it's reliable. So next on the list, now that we're tidying everything back together, I am now going to attempt to hook the radiator and everything back. And if I can get it all back together, just filling it up with water for now, checking for leaks, blah, blah, blah. Seeing what all we have, what we're missing, and then we'll really be getting somewhere. Alright guys, this clip might be shit because my dad's mowing his lawn and it's about to get dark, so I have to show you guys what I got so far. I got the radiator in with, I believe, all the hoses hooked up. The lower radiator hose is missing a clip, and I believe that's the one that's missing the O-ring too, so that's probably definitely going to be a leak. I'm just hooking everything up to see what we're working with. I had to do some digging, but I found the upper hose, and then that's the last thing I was putting on, but at the very last minute I noticed that it was cracked right here and also doesn't have a clip. I don't know, I think that's probably going to leak as well. Other than that, I believe everything is where it should be. The automatic transmission cooler is slipped right in, no problem. All the O-rings and everything are there. I was able to get the water temperature sensor, I believe that is. The only thing we're really missing right now is I know I don't have a fan. We do have the manual one there, but just for today, again, I'm just trying to see what I have and what I don't. I am going to put some water in it now and just see, you know, like, why not? At least, again, before it gets dark, I just want to see exactly what we have, what's leaking, this and that. I guess one thing that I just thought about, now that I know it will move under its own power and when it gets dark, I could potentially pull the front end in the shed there. So that is an option if I want to continue, but I don't think I'll be able to continue much further. I'm sort of running into the need to order parts situation. So anyway, I'm gonna quit rambling again and we're gonna see if this thing leaks. So I got my water hose here and let's fill her up. Oh yeah, pouring. Alright, well, yeah, that was quick. That is the lower radiator hose that does not have an O-ring. I'm kind of stupid for even trying it, but you know, why not? Working with what I have at the moment. It's actually pouring a lot worse than what I thought it would. Alright guys, it's been a couple of days since the last clip where I tested the coolant system on the car with water just to see, and obviously, as you know from the last clip, it was leaking from the lower radiator hose. I have since gotten an O-ring and hooked it all back together, and we have no more leaks in the system. I bled the system and everything seems to be good now. Got it up to operating temp, and yeah, the coolant system seems to be going great. I will have to swap it out with antifreeze because it is finally getting cold outside. I think the low for tonight is like in the 40s, so it's getting close to freezing. But anyway, I've done a few things off camera just because I know this video is getting a little long and I don't want it to get too boring. But I did want to end it with a little bit of a win. And that is, we're gonna take this car down the road in just a minute. I want to go ahead and change the fluids and everything, like the engine oil. I want to check the transmission fluid. That's why I have it on the lift here. So we're going to change the engine oil on this car, and then I'll lift it up and we'll check the transmission fluid. I have some cheap engine oil here and some transmission fluid that I used previously. There's a good bit in there. It did scare me pulling it into the shop just a minute ago when it was cold. It didn't want to go at first, so I let it warm up and then creeped it on in here. So I definitely want to check that out and just for peace of mind, see how much fluid we have in the transmission. Because as of now, I think everything on this car works. Transmission, engine, power steering. We still have plenty of power steering fluid. Yeah, we're slowly checking off boxes here, verifying everything working on the car. So now I just want to make sure that it has clean fluids in it before we actually take this thing out on the road to see how it drives and how it shifts. Just a couple of things that I did do off camera. I did run into an issue at first whenever I first started this car up. It was in a limp mode where it would idle, but it wouldn't let me rev it past like 1,000 RPMs, which was very good because I ended up finding out the problem. Whenever I got this car, it did not have the air box on it. It only had the lower half of the intake going into the throttle body there. I just threw this air box on here without really checking anything else. I should have known from this car sitting outside without a hood that it might have had water down in the intake, and that is exactly what it was. Luckily, the car being in limp mode, it wouldn't actually let me open the throttle body. On this motor, this intake runs down into the throttle body, so the throttle body was the lowest point. There was probably an inch or two, maybe more, of water in the intake, so it was all right up against the valve of the throttle body. So I'm sure some water did get in the motor, but luckily I did not run the car very much and it would not let me open the throttle body. So that's good. Once I found the water, I cleaned it all out. Got an air hose, got a vacuum, got all the water as much as I could out of there. And then I put the intake and everything back together. And then I just had to reprogram the throttle body. Yeah, give the throttle body a good reset. And after that, the car revs and idles and does everything as it should. So I just kind of wanted to give that update. And here we go. We are going to change the oils and then take this thing for a drive. So fingers crossed, because that'll be the last big check on this car. All right, let's check out the underside of this car really quick though. Let's get a light going. A little dirty, a little oily. A tiny bit rusty. Overall, this car looks pretty good. Do those lines come factory blue? I don't know. A little bit of oil covering on some things, but overall not too bad. Don't see any damage at first glance. Everything at least seems to be intact pretty good. Cool. See if I can do this without making a mess. Drain plug got tight again on me. Ooh, I don't like that. I don't like the way this drain plug feels. Why is it so long? This is not a good sign. Oh god. Well, that didn't go as good as I wanted it to. The threads look fine, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Didn't feel that great, but I think it's okay. The oil doesn't look that bad either. Can never just not make a mess. I don't know, to me that seems like a long drain plug. Threads look perfect though. I don't know why it was kind of not the easiest to get out. It wasn't necessarily tough, it was just harder than I would say normal. Almost forgot about the oil filter. I've actually never bought oil that came in a bag like this before. It was the first time for me. This is gonna be interesting to pour. Let me actually grab a funnel, because I'm really bad about making mess. Oh yeah, easy peasy. That was 5 quarts, right? And that was 6 quarts. And we need 6.9. Might as well call it 7. Guess I'll just leave a little bit. Alright, I got the oil back in it. Let's start it up, get it warmed up, get the transmission warmed back up. I ran it for a few minutes earlier to jump start a lawnmower. So it's already a little warm, so I'm just gonna let it warm back up just a little more, and then we will check the transmission level. Dude, every time. Alright, here we go. I've noticed that when the car is cold and I first start it up, it wants to idle rough. I do have a somewhat decent code reader in the car, and whenever I plug it up, it's usually a fuel-related problem. That time just now it said that I believe cylinder 1 was lean, and before it just said something about cylinders. I think 3, 4, or 4, 5, and 6 all had fuel cut issues, but once the car is running and I clear the codes, it smooths out the idle. I don't know if that's a fuel related issue because the fuel in here is very old, or what. It does smell like bad fuel whenever the car is running. So I don't know if that's something that may work itself out. Alright guys. The transmission fluid was a little bit low, but I went ahead and topped it off quick because it's about to get dark, and I really want to drive this car. I really want to drive this car before it gets dark because I don't have headlights. So let's see if this baby will shift. All right, got her in reverse. Pulling out of the shop now. I have everything like zip tied up, so we shouldn't have to worry about running over any of the headlight bulbs or anything like that. Gas pedal's a little touchy. Can't drive too fast because the hood is not latched, but it's a very heavy hood, so I don't think it's gonna come up or anything. Do have a check engine light on, which was not on before. go. Second gear. Third gear. It's driving surprisingly smooth so far. Alright, we shift it back down. Here we go, smooth shift. This windshield is super dirty. Okay, taking bumps pretty smooth. This road is actually very, very bumpy. So far, so good. Look, staying pretty good on temp. Alright guys, of course the camera died on me while I was out there, but I didn't want to go on that far of a drive anyway, so I'm back at the shop, and the car did great. It shifted through, I think, at least 4 gears, but everything was smooth, so I trust it. I feel really good about the transmission now. I feel good about the engine now. I did have the coolant level pop up on the dash for a split second, but after I put it back in park, it went away. So I'm not really completely sure what's up with that. It may have a little bit of air still in the system. I'll check that here in a second when I cut it off, but I'll have to see what that service engine soon light is for as well. But other than that, I'm hyped. The car runs and drives, I know for sure. Again, I only paid $800 for this car, and I think that today was a big win and a big load off my plate, knowing that the car will at least run and drive. It's not overheating. The service engine light may be from it misfiring. I'm not sure. I'll scan it again and see what we got. It kind of sounded like it might have been misfiring there. Yeah, look, cylinder 2 misfire. Ooh, 1 of 6. Let's see, we got cylinder 1 misfire detected, cylinder 2 misfire detected. Misfire during start, cylinder 3. Misfire cylinder 4 with fuel cutoff. Misfire cylinder 6 with fuel cutoff. Misfire cylinder 5 with fuel cutoff. Huh. So a lot of misfire going on. You know, I did have a little bit of water that went into the throttle body. They may have done a little bit of damage. Some moisture could have gotten, you know, into some places like the spark plugs. I don't know. Along with the fuel, I don't know how long the fuel has been in this car. It doesn't just smell the worst whenever it's running, but you can definitely tell that the fuel is kind of old in this car. So maybe that kind of stuff will work its way out with some good fuel. You know, I may end up taking the plugs out, blah blah blah. Anyway, if you made it this far watching this, thanks for watching, and I'll probably get back into the Z next video because I really want to get that roll cage done in that car. I feel like with the progress we've made on the Beamer so far, I can kind of put that aside and then see about going ahead and selling it. I don't know if I'm going to take the time to make it look pretty to resell. I think I'll still be able to make a little bit of money. At this point, I've put a good bit of time into this car for the amount of money that I'm going to get out of it. I don't know if it'd be worth it. It's just, I would rather do things like finish my 350Z than to stay focused on that. So, plus, I'm tired of the shop looking like this. It is a complete mess, and I want it to look a little bit cleaner. So, anyway, again, thanks for watching. Until the next video, peace.